The prowess of a child's early days speak volume of what he or she will eventually become in life. Over 60 decades ago, a child was born to the family of Alhaji Hakeem Kolakpo and Alhaji Alh Bade Adeshina in Lagos. He was named Bade. Little did they know that he would become a colossus in business, particularly in the finance industry. In our search for our personality of the week, our media crew caught up with this amiable man, father, husband, and grandfather. Our chat with him revealed the cerebral and soft-spoken boardroom guru. He led us into his early childhood and educational sojourn.
My name is Bade Adeshina. I hail from Osogbo, Osun State, but my parents came to Lagos over 70 years ago. I went to St. Thomas Aquinas Catholic School, Surulere, Lagos, and after my primary school education in Lagos, I went to St. Charles Catholic Grammar School, Osogbo. Thereafter, I came back to Lagos for my A-levels, and I have 3 A-levels at a sitting and entered University of Lagos for my first degree in finance in the Faculty of Business Administration. Thereafter, I did a master's in finance also from University of Lagos, and a diploma in information system. I belong to many professional bodies, fellow of many professional bodies.
Bade Adeshina's parents were also merchants, even as he helped his dad with keeping the books of financial transactions.
I was very small when we were in Osogbo because my father is an SUA merchant in Lagos, and my mother is a big businesswoman in Surulere. And so basically we have our first house in the early 60s in Surulere in Lagos. We all enjoy the love of our parents. They are very generous, sympathetic, and very accommodating to the entire family. Basically, we are about 8 in the family, and I was number 2 in position. I can recall vividly my parents so much love that all their children should be well educated and well caring and have the fear of Almighty Allah, and which has led us to the position we are in today. Most of my primary school days colleagues in Surulere, we are still very in touch today. And in fact, during my sister's birthday, one of them, a few of them came, one real one, Annie Fowoshe, who retired as a director of NMPC, and a host of every one of them are today. Anytime I'm out of the country, in England, a lot of my classmates in primary school are there. We chat. Anytime in US or anywhere in the world, in Canada and all that. So we are still very in touch. In fact, about a month ago, I went to my primary school in Surulere, and I wanted to see the headmaster, but that was not the school we were when we were young in the 60s. Most of us are very disciplined, and the passion for education, we were so engrossed in after school, you go to lesson in primary school, and you do not have much time to play around. And I could still say in those days, I recalled, I said my father is an SEO merchant. He will bring a lot of things home, and we'll follow him to ensure that we record some of the sales for him.
The very disciplined parents did not compromise the Islamic tenets and education, as he and alongside his sibling attended Quranic school, as much as both primary and secondary schools were Christian missionary schools.
Definitely, yes. I could recall we grew up in Akobi Crescent, and we are one of the earlier settlers in Akobi Crescent in Surulere. There's a mosque in Akobi Crescent today, a one-story building, and my parents were part of the people who actually contribute substantially to it, Oluwakemi Mosque, and the mosque is still in existence today. It's a fairly big mosque, and after school we were all sent to the mosque for us to go and learn. It's there I picked up the Quran. But it is interesting to know that it was after my first, second degree and professional exam that I went to sit down and learn the Quran very well and follow the tenets of Islam. My first advice to people in life, you don't lose your identity. And if you don't lose your identity, it's extremely very key. Islam is beautiful. I told you that I went after my first secondary degree and professional exam to learn much about Islam. It's all encompassing and it's a complete total way of life. So in seeing the truth, and there's nothing for me to embrace in any other religion apart from Islam.
Bade Adeshina would rather engage in some philanthropic gestures quietly, a quality he got from his very generous parents who opened their doors for all.
My parents are too generous, both of them. Both my mom and my father, may Almighty Allah grant them Al Jannah Firdaus, and they cater for extended family, even to the detriment of their own children in those days. And it was a very communal life. Everybody, I could recall, is still building. Everybody from our hometown will come and stay in one of the buildings. We stay in one of the buildings, but the discipline is there, more especially from my two parents.
The neatness and brilliance he acquired from secondary school still stand the test of time. He was made to checkmate house masters because of his smartness and brilliance.
The discipline in those days in the boarding house in secondary school is much especially by the Catholic people. I was a very neat student. In fact, I was kept specially to deal with the house masters then, and you cannot afford. Is a St. Charles Catholic Grammar School, Oshogbo, is a first grade secondary school then, and you either do well or you are out of that school. So it has actually entrenched discipline, institutionalized discipline, and courage for people to excel in life.
As a secondary school student, he loved sporting. This informed his participation in inter-school competition as a goalkeeper of the school football team.
I'm happy you were there one of the fortunately my birthday, and when I have a very clear focus, and with every degree of modesty, I was a very sharp student in school, a great footballer, a goalkeeper for that matter.
At his early stage in life, his uncle, who was so disciplined, was fond of taking him to the campus of the University of Lagos in order to build in him the reading culture of the tertiary institutions.
I will give that credence to Almighty Allah and to one of my great uncle is not alive again, Pa Ezekiah Adetunji Odetuimbu. May his soul rest in perfect peace. He took me to the University of Lagos, and during vacation, 3 months to do vacation, and I learned the art of reading very well, and he encouraged me. That actually assisted me in passing the 3 A levels at a sitting.
When he was through with his secondary education, he wrote JAMB, now UTME. Due to his brilliance, he was one of the few that was offered provisional admission by 2 prestigious universities, the University of Lagos and University of Ibadan. He chose University of Lagos, where he studied finance for his first degree.
In those days, during our own time, there's only 5 universities in the country. The craze of going abroad was not there. I recalled I got admission in US in those days, but they said, oh, if you don't go to university in Nigeria, you don't know anything. So I was given admission in both University of Lagos and University of Ibadan. So because of sentiment that my parents are in Lagos and my uncles and brothers are, and my sister also went to University of Lagos, I decided to stay in the Faculty of Business Administration to do finance for my first degree.
It is his aspiration to become a banker in secondary school when he aspired to study economics at the university as a result of their corporate dressing and smartness.
I've always loved to be an economist all over my life, and then there was respect for bankers, and I wanted to be a banker, and that's actually what led me into it. I like to be neat, they are well dressed, and there's discipline in banking those days. You know, you cannot afford to be unethical, to be unprofessional, otherwise you'll be checked out of the industry.
Mr. Bade Adeshina started his career as a graduate assistant. After completing his National Youth Service Corps, he was retained as an assistant senior information officer with the University of Lagos.
Immediately after my first degree, I was retained. In fact, my youth service was done at the University of Lagos. And then they were actually doing some computerization in information systems. I was part of it. I also used to lecture in courses, teach compulsory courses for, or it's a core course for faculty member. After that, immediately after the youth service, I was employed. In fact, I had almost about 3-4 jobs. And I started my second degree immediately, my master's degree in finance. And then the master's degree was a very tough one. You must either be a finance, accounting, or economics graduate, and you must have a minimum of second class upper division. It was a very small class, between 15 and 20. It was very tough because the MSc we did was academic, leading to a PhD. And I passed through that successfully. And at that point, I was settling down for other things to proceed when the then French bank, International Bank for West Africa, were recruiting all over the country. We did examination, we passed through everything, and I think I was one of the first 3 throughout the country, and I was given employment in International Bank for West Africa. Then I was put in strategic planning, working directly as partner assistant to the chief executive, the French people then. But after few months, 3 months precisely, they discovered that this person would be very good for a corporate finance division of the bank because it houses about 60% of the bank portfolio. So I was moved to corporate finance, and there I started cutting careers. I have a lot of people to learn under, and I can still not forget people like Mr. Ajani, who is still alive, Raymond Ihembe, who eventually became MD of about 3 banks, and the French people were our boss then, guys, Marc Blondel. They actually, I will ever be grateful to them in terms of tutelage in my banking career, initial banking career. I was exposed to a lot of courses, both within and outside the country then. I had the opportunity of going to the World Bank, and that actually gave me an edge.
Indispensable Mr. Bade Adeshina is a member of Board of Directors of Premium Pensions and currently Chairman Managing Director, Goldfield Group. He is a member of various professional bodies, among which are Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, CIBN, a fellow of the Certified Pension Institute of Nigeria, CPIN, Association of Investment Advisors and Portfolio Management, member of the Institute of Directors and Chartered Institute of Stock Brokers.
Up to now, I see I have a lot of strong potentials in me, and that's why you could see, in fact, I was at the desk when I was appointed by the government, and which I successfully did. Immediately I left the government. In fact, I was on vacation when I got 3 appointments at the board level of 3 financial institutions. I was called to the board of Premium Pension Limited, which is one of the first 3 big pension funds in this country. I'm on the board of Health Assure, which is an HMO company, and fortunately, I was also on one of the board of a big financial advisory services, which office is based in Abuja at the time. So this keeps me busy and keep me on top of my job and keep me continuously training without losing my religious value.
He has over 30 years experience in finance management services in both commercial and investment banks, among which are AfriBank PLC, formerly Main Street Bank, and now run as part of Polaris Bank, AfriBank International Bank Limited, and Access Bank PLC.
Banking has some fundamentals, some ingredients. Leadership. You see, most of those banks has leadership problem. Secondly, training process. Thirdly, are they professional? Are they ethical? Do they have the fear that, oh, it's people's money they are trading with? So that has been my guiding principle. Most of the banks I've worked with has a lot of foreign affiliation, and which actually gave me a lead of how a financial institution should be managed professionally. All this actually, apart from banking, I've traversed all aspects of financial sector. I was in commercial bank, I was in investment bank, I was in asset management, and into pension fund administrations. I was one of the pioneer shareholders of one of the biggest pension funds in this country, Premium Pension, well-run and highly professional environment. So that actually led me to all this. So looking at my sojourn in the industry, I've been involved in stockbroking, where in fact I used to be the managing director, chief executive of one of the stockbroking firm in Marina. Then I was a general manager in the bank, and they report directly to me at the head office. So I've passed through both commercial, merchant banking, asset management, stockbroking, pension fund, and I think I'm fulfilled.
A member of the prestigious Ikoyi Club for over 2 decades.
I'm a very process person and a planner. I plan my time and I gauge them very well, and without it might interest you. A member of Ikoyi Club, prestigious Ikoyi Club. I say find time to do all that. It's just balancing your lifestyle is key. It's key. Balancing your lifestyle is key, and people like us will not want to give back to that financial industry. Having transplants through all the area of financial, so you will still be calling to do 1 or 2 things, and you'll be doing a disservice to your country if you don't give your expertise. I recall when some of us started banking, even with first, second degree and professional exam, the first 1 year I was on training all over the place. I was not working. So, but you cannot have the same kind of opportunity nowadays, where you come in, the next thing is for you to start going to look for one target or the other without proper training.
Mr. Bade Adeshina plucked his blossom flower at the University of Lagos when they were still students at the school. It was a good character and Islamic background that motivated him towards her.
We met apparently in University of Lagos, and then she was a very young girl. Then I was fascinated by her morals and religious tenets. That's why what led me to it, and I've always loved not to go outside the Muslim circles. First of all is tolerance. You are from different background, and you have to share. You have to have a shared value. Shared value in the sense of how you raise all your children, yourself, the discipline. Are you ethical? The parent background, and I think it's very, very compatible, and that's what led us to do. And both of us are not. We take things as it comes, with prayer to Almighty Allah, that nothing will happen without the Almighty Allah, and we've been clearly focused on that to date.
The success of a man begins the day he decides to be great.
My advice to our youths of nowadays is that 1, they should be focused. 2, they should have the fear of Almighty God. 3, they should be ready to develop themselves. And 4, they should be ethical, professional, transparent, and integrity is key. If you don't have integrity, you've lost all what you have. So that would be my advice to the younger youth, and they should not be greedy. And I see most of the young nowadays they are greedy, looking for what is not lost. They should be self-contented.
For his philanthropic gesture, his contribution to the nation's economy, especially the finance sector, we celebrate our personality of the week on the scorecard segment of Pathway to Jannah.